To use the sales script or not use the sales script, that is the question. And which is more effective in getting you more new clients? Stick around, we're going to have that conversation right now. If we haven't met before, I'm Jessie, and I help coaches and consultants grow their confidence on sales call so that they enroll more new clients without being pushy or salesy. Now, I've been in sales a long time, both selling and sales coaching. But when I started, I was given a sales script to use. And I've also worked using what I refer to as a framework for the sales conversation. Today, I'm going to get into both methods so you can decide which path resonates most with you and has the best impact on your business growth. When I started in sales many years ago, I was about the furthest person from a typical salesperson. My background was in marketing. I was a bit quieter in personality, maybe even a bit of an introvert. But an opportunity to get into sales crossed my path. An opportunity I knew could change the trajectory of my life. Good salespeople can make a great living, right? It was a big risk, big reward decision, and I decided to take the leap. I jumped straight into a 100% commission job with zero sales experience and a personality that was more heart-centered than persuasive and salesy. But on my first day on the job, my sales trainer quit. I was on my own to learn. The bosses gave me a script, something that at the time they called the stack, because each question led to the next question in a big stack. And then there were pictures as visual symbols to help you remember the questions. This was going to be a lifesaver, I thought, because I was truly clueless and would not have known where in the world to start. I memorized the stack of questions and the pictures that were crutches to remember the questions. I worked face-to-face in person with clients, so I couldn't reference a computer screen as a prop. I did carry a notebook with the script tucked into it to help me, but there was so much going on between trying to remember the potential client's name, to thinking about the question I needed to ask next, to trying to hear what the client was saying to me, to answering them when they had a question, or taking notes if I needed to follow up on something. It was too much. My brain was on sensory overload and I just couldn't do it. I wasn't even hearing what the clients were saying to me. It was bad. You know that feeling you get when someone catches you not listening, particularly when you prompted the response to begin with. Yikes. That is my experience with a script. It didn't work for me, for my style of selling and how I interacted with potential clients. I tried using it for some time too. So based on my 20+ years experience in sales and sales coaching, here's my take on sales scripts. This is what sales scripts do for you. 1, they give you some level of confidence because you know exactly what you're supposed to say and when to say it, within an overall formula that's supposedly proven to work to get you the sale. And 2, I know companies love sales scripts because it gives the bosses or business owners control over what you're going to say to the client. It's a tool that they can measure you against to see how well you're performing on bringing in new clients and where in the process it might be falling apart if you deviate from the script. So confidence is good, and an overall formula that's supposed to work to get a sale is good. Let's put check marks by those. They really are important criteria in a sales conversation to see more enrollments from your potential clients. But what sales scripts don't do, they don't necessarily feel natural or authentic to you as the salesperson. And I'm not talking about just because it's new and it feels awkward. It's just that the script may not suit you and your style. I've talked to so many people who feel this way, and feeling inauthentic won't help you get more new customers. And scripts don't necessarily use the language that your ideal clients resonate with, or a style or pace that your ideal client resonates with either, because there are so many business types that cater to so many types of clients and needs. And a sales script is a pre-prescribed formula that fits over all of these business types, trying to deliver an outcome from one method across many businesses. Also, sales scripts don't allow you to flex to your client's needs or questions. The very nature of a script is rigid, so they are not terribly customer focused. And scripts don't allow your client to get a sense of what it's like to truly work with you. Keep in mind, from the potential client's perspective, that the sales call is a real opportunity for them to get to know you and see if they want to work with you. But a script is so scripted that the client won't get the real sense of who you are. The prescription and the steps of the script are too end goal focused on the sale. And scripts don't allow for a deeper connection that's built through a real conversation. Keep in mind that the potential client is going into a sales call leery anyway, because they don't want to be sold to. No one does. So if you miss building a real connection, the call will only be a transactional sales call, a huge missed opportunity that we'll talk about shortly. Sales scripts perform well if you're looking to churn through sales calls, are more transactional in your business, and you're not too concerned about establishing a relationship with the client. But this style of sales often ends up with buyers wanting to cancel their orders and high levels of buyer's remorse, or maybe even worse. You have highly dissatisfied clients long term, which can have a really negative impact on your reputation and your business. Not a goal that I'm shooting for in my business for sure. So when that sales script didn't work for me years ago, and I realized I wasn't even hearing what my potential clients were telling me, I knew I had to change things up, that there had to be a better way for me to sell. So I cut up that stack of questions of the script, and I kept about 5 to 6 questions I felt really good about. They were the questions to help get deeper in the conversation. I was also aware at that point of the steps or the path that I walked the potential client along to cover everything I needed to earn the right to ask them to buy. You see, I realized that if I didn't cover certain things along a path, my clients wouldn't have what they needed to make a good decision about my offer. Like if I didn't really know what they needed or what their end goal was, yet still asked them to buy my offer, without really letting them know what my offer was about, they would look at me like I was a bit crazy, right? I would not have earned the right to ask for their business at that point because we just would not have had enough information exchanged to know if my offer was a good fit. So knowing that I had to cover certain steps along a path, my process evolved into what I called a framework. The framework gave me the high-level steps I needed to cover, plus those 5 to 6 questions that I really liked asking. This became my guide to take my clients through a sales conversation. It was easy enough to remember those questions that I felt comfortable asking, and it was easy enough to remember the high-level steps I needed to take my customers through before I could ask for their business. It was so much easier than the stack of questions in that sales script, and it worked. I could listen to my clients. I could focus on what they wanted for their end goal. It felt natural and conversational because it was. I could flex to their questions if needed and then jump right back onto the path. I could slow the conversation down if the client wanted more details at a particular point, but then flow right back to the next step very easily. It was fantastic. So having a general framework for the sales conversation allowed me to connect more authentically with the client, to have a real conversation. I could ask questions and listen, and then follow up with additional questions if needed. 2, with the framework, I could flex the conversation to whatever was important to the client. If a potential client came to me and as a top priority needed to know if my offer contained a particular component, if I disregarded that need in following a script, I would have come across as possibly uncaring, incapable, unrelatable, or simply out for myself. And this quickly loses a client for you. With the framework, I could bring my personality into the conversation. This was important so that the client could really see who they would be working with and if we were a good match for each other. You know that people buy from people they know, like, and trust. So bringing myself, my authenticity, my words to the conversation gave them a chance to really see who they would be working with, to get a sense of our longer-term working relationship if they ended up as my client. And with the framework, I could make note of how they talked about their situation. If my offer satisfied what they were hoping to accomplish, I could use their language as I continued through the sales conversation so that they could really relate to and resonate with my offer. And as a result of all of this, I had a much higher confidence around the sales call because I could really deeply engage with my potential client. And because the client got to know me as well, I became a trusted advisor and guide for them. This created a dynamic that drew the potential client to want to work with me based on this strong and powerful conversation that we had during the sales call. This meant more clients bought and were extremely satisfied customers long term. So my experience over thousands of sales calls is that sales scripts serve a certain purpose, but for my style of business, they were not a good long-term solution for creating a really strong and highly converting sales conversation with my clients. They were not for me because in my business, I cared about creating a relationship with my client where they became my business ambassadors for the long term. I always believe that it's more important to run a business with integrity and leave a positive legacy. So as a reminder, what was our end goal here? We wanted to determine what's the best way to get more sales from your sales calls, using a script or not using a script. My vote hands down is no script, as you can see, but that doesn't mean an aimless conversation either. I advocate for a framework that guides you through your call, but gives you the flexibility to address the customer's needs while still leading the client through a deep and memorable sales conversation that has the client drawn to working with you even more as a result of this initial sales call. I trust that you can relate to elements of this story, and also that this conversation has given you some ideas of value that you can take back to your business and implement right away for higher sales impact. If you have found it of value, please hit that like button, and I really appreciate your support of this channel and the content I'm sharing with you. So if you would please subscribe, hit the bell for future notifications, and share it with friends who might benefit from it as well. And if you want to know more what it's like to work with me to refine your sales conversation, I've dropped a link in the description below. We can talk to see if we're a good fit to work together. I truly do appreciate you taking some of your valuable time to watch this video. If you have suggestions for other sales topics you would like a discussion about, please share those thoughts in the comments. And from here, I look forward to seeing you next week with more sales tips to help keep you out of that pushy and pressure-filled sales zone, yet still signing up more and more clients each and every day. Have a great week, my friends.